තෙරුවන් සරණයි ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ. I welcome everyone to the session, and I would like to mention a few things that during the session, please can you all keep the microphones muted? You can unmute and listen to you can ask the questions if you would like to, but for now, during the discussion, please keep it muted. And yes, I think that's it. Teruvan Saranai Swamin Wahanse, I would like to invite you to begin the session. Avasarai.
Ven Dhammadassi, everyone. As always, today also we are going to have this meditation session. And before starting the actual session, we'll discuss a Kammasthana. And after understanding the meaning of this Kammasthana, we are going to do the meditation session proper. And at the end, if you have any questions, we can discuss them as well. So for today's Kammasthana, we are going to look at the world in a different perspective. We have known about this methodology or classification where the world is divided into Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi. So using this, we are going to see the Anicca nature, Dukkha nature, and Anatta nature. So the Kammasthana goes like this. Apo Dhatu is essenceless. Tejo Dhatu is essenceless. Vayo Dhatu is essenceless. Patavi Dhatu is essenceless. Then letting go is blissful. Non-attachment is blissful. And salvation is blissful. Nibbana is blissful. May Nibbana be attained. That is the Kammasthana we are going to recite. And we are not just reciting some words. We have to understand the deeper meaning depicted by those words. So we are going to discuss why Apo, Tejo, Vayu, Patavi are essenceless and why Nibbana is blissful. So to begin, we know that our world, what is the world? World begins when eyes meet images, sounds meet ears, smells meet nose, then tastes meet tongue, touches meet skin, and thoughts meet mind. This is where the world starts. If there are no images meeting eyes, sounds meeting ears, and so on, there won't be a world. There won't be any consciousness. So we would not be able to perceive the world. So we say that this world is limited, or the perception of this world is limited to these 6 senses. And we know that we give value to these images, sounds, smells, tastes, touches, and thoughts. When value is added to something, people or individuals automatically get attached to them, because if something is valuable, the normal response is we want to own them, we want to protect them, we want to use them because they are valuable. So this happens to the 6 external elements: eyes, images, sounds, smells, taste, touches, and thoughts. So if we use this new classification, we are talking about Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi. I mentioned the previous classification where the 12 types of external and internal organs are used, because we are familiar with that now. Now this is another way of classification. Yeah, Apo is about the attaching nature, and the physical manifestation of this attaching nature, sticky nature, you can say, is water, watery nature. So this is a result of our own actions, Apo nature. Now, Apo nature gives rise to this nature where the things get sticky, or you can say they something like stickiness or attaching nature. So the second one is Tejo nature. Tejo nature is about energy or power. So we can see that in physical form as fire. So what leads to Apo is the raga. What leads to Tejo is the dosa, the rage, anger. These are our own thought patterns or thoughts that leads to the creation of Apo nature, Tejo nature, Vayo nature, Patavi nature. When millions and billions of beings are doing the same thing, these become physical, they manifest as physical forms. So we can see the physical form as well. Vayo nature, oh, then we can go for Patavi. Patavi nature is due to the hard, we can say it's the hardness. So the physical manifestation of this hardness is the earth, or we can say hard, hard, something that is hard, elements which are hard, solid in nature. So this is the original reason for this Patavi nature or Patavi substances are due to moha. So when somebody is having moha, it is due to pure ignorance. So there's no value, or we don't see any value in that specific item, but we are clinged onto that. Something like a animal getting attached to or let's say a dog getting attached to fleshless bone, or a small child getting attached to something which is not valuable. and never want to let go of that. So something like that. So the hard nature, you don't want to let it go, just cling on to that. So that leads to the hardness. So, and the vayo nature, the freeness. We have discussed about this before. So the free nature is due to, the first three are due to raga, dosa, and moha. The final one, which is vayu, is due to alobha, dosa, amoha. So the opposite of raga, dosa, moha. Opposite means not the quite opposite, but the quite opposite is vitaraga, vitadosa, vitamoha. This is the reduced form of raga, dosa, moha. So alobha, dosa, moha. So it leads to the vayu nature. Free, very light, non-attached, but still has a mass and still has some resistance to things, but it is very less compared to Patavi. So this is how Apo Tejo Vayo Patavi creates, it is created. And various combinations of Apo Tejo Vayo Patavi leads to various objects, various forms, various textures, various temperatures. So if we see around us, all the things that you can see are made of this Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi natures. So nature becomes a physical element or physical manifestation, and these physically manifested Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi leads to physical items. So these physical items are perceived as valuable, important, and we do all the things to protect them. People in this world, they even hurt others, kill other people, kill other animals, steal from other people, and do various and immoral things, unwholesome things, because they find these combinations of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi well important, or they they give value to them, they add value to them. When a value is added, the attachment is inevitable, and when the attachment occurs, we do whatever necessary to protect them, because something if something happens to an object which we find dear, which we are attached to, something bad happens to them, that would lead to sorrow, pain, suffering, misery, all the negative emotions would come. So nobody wants that. So everybody tries to protect what is valuable. So what we are going to understand is, we are going to see, and we are going to go in depth and try to understand that this is a combination of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, and Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi doesn't have any value in the first place, but the combination tricks us, deceives our minds with avijja, and gives the conclusion that these are valuable, important items that we should protect and do whatever necessary to protect them. So, for example, the best example that we can take is our body, because that is the most valuable thing for us. And that is, we would protect whatever happens. We will try to protect the body. We will try to do anything, wholesome, unwholesome, doesn't matter when it comes to our body, because it is very valuable for us. So if somebody tries to hurt us, we would hurt them back before us getting hurt, because we want our body intact, We don't want it harmed. We like to. We don't like pain and suffering. So we will do whatever it is necessary to protect this. So that when it comes to an Arihat, the enlightened one, he has already seen the essencelessness of Apo, Tejo, Vayu, and Patavi, and has seen that this is a combination of Apo, Tejo, Vayu, Patavi, and nothing else. He has seen through the deceiving nature, has seen through the mirage, has seen through the illusion, and has seen the reality. Therefore, that Arihat, noble person, would not find this valuable but still maintain this because it is necessary. Otherwise, pain and suffering, which is related to the body, bodily pains, bodily sufferings due to hunger, due to diseases, and other things would come, because that is not a wise move to suffer on our will, suffer willingly. So that would not be entertained, or that would not be practiced. So the Arihat person, Arihat noble individual, would do what is necessary to keep this body in a neutral way, but the value which is added with avijja has become zero. So Apo, Tejo, Ayo, Patavi are the building blocks of our body, and this is one way of classifying it. You can say that various ways. So in biology, it says cells are the building blocks of human body, and when it comes to physics, it says atoms, or chemistry, it says atoms and subatomic particles creates this body. So these are various ways of saying the building blocks or how our body is created. So Apo, Tejo, Vayu, Patavi is one way of seeing it. So the thing is, Apo nature, let's say, to simplify matters, we'll say Apo is water, Tejo is fire, Patavi is earth or solid nature, solidity, and the Vayu is the air. So these are the four things that are there in our body. So eyes, we have eyes, ears, and various other hard organs like liver, lungs, then the muscles, bones. These falls under Patavi. And there are other organs, and we can say other secretions like sweat, there's urine, there's blood, and there's lymph. These falls under Apo. And there's the warmth in our body. So this falls under Tejo. And there are various air pockets in our body, air in the intestines, air in the stomach, and various spaces in our body, air in those spaces. So that is the Vayu nature in our body. So we go for Patavi at first. So where did this Patavi came from? It was originally in the environment. So somehow it came to us. So if we go to the beginning of us, we were just a fetus. And before becoming a fetus, we were just a zygote. So a sperm cell and a ovum was creating this zygote, and they came from a mother and a father. And that those two individuals got those patavi from the environment, from food. So food was either animal matter or plant-based food. So both of them, both animal-based or plant-based food came from the environment. So it was taken by parents, and then we were created, and the pottery which is there was coming from the environment. And as the mother takes food, it it creates the fetus, and the fetus grows, and all the pottery which is there in the fetus came from the environment, came from the food that was taken by the mother. And then we were born, and after that we were fed. And in this feeding process, the things or the pottery which was ingested to us was also coming from the environment. And some of that stays inside the body, creating the body, developing the body, repairing the body, and the rest leaves as fecal matter. So this happens for 70, 80, 90 years, 100 years, and then we die. And after, at the death, what happens? The pottery or the body would start decaying. The pottery would join the pottery where it originally came from. So the thing is, when the pottery is in our body, which was there in the environment, we find is very valuable. This pottery, let's say 50 or 30 kilograms of pottery, that weight, that mass of pottery is very valuable to us. But as soon as we die, or after some time we die, this pottery will join to the pottery of the earth, and nobody would give any value to that pottery because it's just equal to the pottery of the earth. Now also it is equal to the pottery of the earth, but we cannot see it because that is very delusional illusion. It creates a very big illusion there, so we get deceived. So we have to go past that deception and see through the illusion, through to understand that it's the same pottery that we have in the environment and in us as well. So when that is understood, it is the same pattern for Apo. Apo also came from the environment and now stays in our body. And when it is excreted as urine, and when we die and all the Apo joins the Apo of the earth, that is not perceived as us, ours. So there's a good example that we can take. If we cut our hand, um, there would be bleeding, and when bleeding happens, the blood would go out of the system. If 100 milliliters get out of our system, we feel very upset, we feel very sad, we feel very scared because our Apo is going out, which is valuable, which is important. But when urine passes out, that is not perceived like that. So it's the pottery, both came from the environment. One, when exited from the body, is not seen neutral, but the other is seen as neutral. So this is the problem when it comes to this wrong vision and wrong thinking. It makes us prone to suffering. That's the problem here. There's no other problem in thinking that way, but the biggest problem is it makes us very vulnerable to suffering. So Apo, Tejo also has the same thing. So our the energy or the heat energy which is generated in our body is emitted to the environment, and the energy or the heat energy which is generated in the environment is absorbed by us. And there's this equilibrium between these two, and cannot differentiate, and we cannot find a specific quality that belongs to the tejo which is in the body and the tejo which is outside the body. It's the same thing. So the same pattern follows. Apo, tejo, vayo. Vayo has the same principles as we have discussed in the previous ones. So the thing is, if somebody sneezes and little bit of mucus or something is if it touches our body, we would find that very disgusting or very bad. But when it happens to ours, small, or when we sneeze, something comes out of the nose and it touches our hand or something, some small drop of mucus or something, that would not be found very disgusting or very bad. So if we apply the same idea here, both were Patavi and Apo. So one was okay and the other was not. So this is delusional in the first place. So what we have to understand here is giving value to a set of or combination of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi has make us vulnerable for suffering. And if we can gradually change our mindsets, change our thinking patterns in such a way that we are able to see that it is the same Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi in the environment, and it is the same Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi in all the things, not just the body. Body is just an example. It's just in various shapes, in various percentages, mixed together, mixed with each other, mixed together, creating various shapes and sizes and all the things, colors and um, various textures. And we like some, we don't like some, and disliking and non-liking has become has created this big problem. So liking and non-liking is due to the wrong vision, wrong ideas. So if we can change these wrong ideas, we can see the reality, can see that they are senseless. So Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi are senseless. So when we see in that way, we see that Apo is, so we are going in depth now. We are seeing that there's no sattva or a being to call as valuable or important as sattva. Sat means valuable, important. Sattva means the being, living being. So Apo is not a living being, Tejo is not a living being, Vayo is not a living being, Patavi is not a living being. So the combination of these four is not also not a living being. So there's two more things to see here. That is Akasa and Vijnana. So it completes the whole person or a whole individual. Apo, Tejo, Ayo, Patavi. Akasa is the space which it occupies, and Vijnana is the consciousness. What is the reason for the consciousness? Just like Apo, Tejo, Ayo, Patavi has created the Rupa or the image, it is not just an image. Image entangled with the consciousness. So this consciousness, what is the reason for this consciousness? The reason is touch. As we have said in the beginning, images and eyes, they touch each other, creating the Chakku Vijnana, or consciousness about seeing. And the other ears and sounds start to touch each other, creating the Sota Vijnana, which is the consciousness about hearing. And this follows for all the six senses. So when these consciousnesses are happening in a very fast manner, one after the other, we are seeing a continuity of consciousness. And since we have the power to recall, and recalling happens in the mind, thoughts are read by the mind to create the mano vijnana, or the consciousness about thinking, consciousness about past, future, right now, everything is due to that. So we become a one wholesome being who can think, who can do, who can function. Since that consciousness is entangled with a rupa or a body, which is made of apo, tejo, aya, patavi, the illusion becomes more and more, and we perceive that as one single unit, one entity. So that's why the Bhagava quality is very important, to divide and see that this is not what it originally looks like. It has more depth to it. So when we understand this, we understand that this is a mechanism of touch, creating the consciousness. So again, it's just a mechanism that happens. That is called Paticca. Paticca is the mechanism that leads to consciousness. And when somebody understands this, they understand now there's nothing valuable here to get attached to, because if we get attached to this, it would create the avijja, which would of course lead to the upadana, which is wanting it again and again. So we want to live again and again. We want to see images again and again. We want to hear to that sound again and again. We want to do all sorts of things again and again. Of course, they are valuable, important, blissful things, positive things, happy things, pleasurable things. These are the things that we want to do again and again. So since we want to do it again and again, it creates this energy, which is called karmic energy. It should be deposited in the karma bhava. It should generate a body and a mind again. Or an eye would be created so that images are seen to create the Chakku Vinyana. And the ears would be created so that sound could be heard to create the Sota Vinyana. And this follows for the other four as well. So consciousness is created. The problem is we have already known that the world is anicca, cannot be controlled according to our expectations. So we become heartbroken, at least at the end. So this is not going to be a positive end. It will always be a negative end, because what we find dear, what we find valuable would get destroyed or deteriorated, decayed at the end, leading to separation from an item that we find dear, leading to negative emotions. So it would end up as a loss. So we are fueling such mechanism every day, all the time, by having this wrong vision, having these wrong ideas. So a set of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi is created, or is make, or is created, or it was made alive by this karmic energy, so that individual starts to suffer. So suffering ball of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, unstoppable cycle or a vicious cycle of suffering is started when this Apo, Tejo, when this mechanism happens where karmic energy leads to the birth of a being, where a combination of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, Akasa, Vijnana, which is the consciousness, are created, or a ball of suffering is created. Because this is a ball of suffering. See, the Patavi in the outside, they do not make us suffer. The sand or the soil or the solid elements, gold, silver, whatever it is, they do not create a suffering sensation when hit, or when slashed, or when applied pressure, or whatever the thing happens. But when that happens to our patavi, which is in our body, that creates suffering. That is very painful for us. It's the same for apo. Water in the ocean, water in the rivers, that does not, it doesn't create any pain for us. But the apo in this body, it would definitely create pain and suffering when when something is done to them, something, some force is applied. So this is for Tejo and Vayu as well. So we have unknowingly created a pathway for us to suffer. We have become vulnerable for suffering, since we have not known the reality of this world. So that is why it says, letting go is blissful, because it would lead to the blissfulness where this vicious cycle would cease to exist, or it would stop, it would end, the sansaric journey would end. So creation of body after body, which would give us suffering at the end, or throughout the life, would end. That would be the perfect end with no disappointments again, because there's nothing to be disappointed of. So that's why it says letting go is peaceful. And the second one is non-attachment is blissful. This is the salvation. This is what we looking for. Salvation is blissful, and this is what we call nibbana. So that is why nibbana is blissful, and may nibbana be attained for everyone. That is the end goal. That is the end goal what we are seeking for, but we don't know this, so we are looking everywhere, looking solutions, looking for answers without knowing this is the answer. So every day, each every day, all the time, what we do is we are looking for answers to end our suffering by doing jobs, by preparing meals, by constructing houses, by doing all sorts of things. What we are trying to do is to get rid of suffering, and the worldly beings doesn't know this real methodology of getting rid of suffering. If they knew, and they knew correctly, they would definitely end this vicious cycle and find that ultimate solution, which would end in nibbana. So this is the understanding that you should have. So with that understanding, we would go for the meditation. And today, our we are going to, as always, we are going to start with the focusing to the sound, to the element of air, or the vayo quality, and then we would proceed to metta or the buddhanusati, and then to metta, and then to the asubha kammatthana, and finally end this session with questions and answers at the end if you have any. So we'll start the session, and before starting, I would like to remind you, everyone, that you should be in a comfortable posture. Preferably, you should have your back straight. Don't be uh, in a sleeping posture. That is not the ideal way of meditating. So have your back straight, preferably in a seated posture. You can use the meditation posture where this Padmasana or Ardha Padmasana is fine if you can manage. So after that, you can close your eyes, or if you prefer half closing, that is also fine. And be in an environment that there is less noise, because in the beginning, noise is a problem for meditation. But as the time goes, it becomes normal. So be in a try to find a place where there is less noise, and where there is uh, less movement. And after that, close your eyes and prepare for today's meditation session. So, like always, focus on the breathing. We are not focusing on the movement of breathing, we are focusing on the quality of the gaseous nature. Focus on the column of air that is moving up and down through our nasal passage. See that this airy nature is very light, non-attached, has no resistance to it, moves up and down freely. Compare it with the Patavi. If we did the same thing to Patavi, there would be a lot of resistance because that Patavi is heavy and hugs the surface which is below it due to gravity, and doesn't like to change the current state, current position. So when we try to do what we want, so more importantly, when the nature tries to change the setup, it shows resistance. Patavi shows resistance. But with regard, when we compare it with Vayu, it has less resistance. It's very light. So think about Patavi as attachment and Vayu as non-attachment, and compare it and focus on the non-attaching gaseous nature and focus on the blissfulness that it creates. Our minds would become calmer and lighter. We would start to feel like air. Right now, we are not having any raga or dosa. Since we are contemplating on Dhamma, the Moha nature is also temporarily gone. So this is the nature of Alobha, Adosa, Amoha, or in other words, Kusala Mula. See how blissful Kusala Mula feels, the nature of Kusala Mula. It feels very relaxing. So with these ideas, focus on your thought pattern. While focusing on the gaseous nature. See whether your thought pattern mimics the gaseous nature, non-attaching nature, freeness, relaxed nature, or your thought pattern is looking for attachments, for becoming ragic and going for various things, or becoming or creating thoughts of dosa or moha. If that happens, focus on the basics, focus on the anicca, focus on or reason out in your mind whether there is any valuable, important objects that we should go after with raga, or we should become agitated due to dosa, or we should become deceived by moha. When we understand the reality like that, when we remind ourselves about the reality like that, those negative thoughts that would drag our blissfulness down would go away. Because in the darkness, if we light up a match, the darkness cannot stay. It should go away. The light always wins. Don't try to control the thought process. Just be the observer of the thought process. If we try to control it, we are not acting correctly according to our understanding. Our understanding is anicca. If the causes align, the effect would occur. If the causes do not align, the effect would not occur. That is the principle here. So the causes should align, so the effect would occur. Controlling it with our will, with our expectation, would lead to strain, would lead to tenseness, would get us away from the Vayu nature to the Patavi nature. So our mind would become heavy and would become agitated. So don't do that. Just be the observer. When we detect errors, when we detect negative raga, dosa, moha thoughts, just identify it and focus onto the reasoning. Don't try to fight with that thought. When it is reasoned out adequately, it would just go away. That is, causes aligning together to create an effect. That would happen whether we expect or whether we don't expect. in this exercise, always compare and contrast. Compare the worldly pleasures with this blissfulness and contrast between the two. And it would add value to this blissful nibbana, blissful, non-attached nature, that relaxing, calm nature. And it would highlight the negatives of the worldly pleasures, how rough they are, how tense they become when we are trying to associate with them, how they create a lot of suffering and pain and disappointment. So compare it and contrast, and then the value given to worldly pleasures would start to diminish, and the value given to nibbana, non-attachment, would increase, and we would be able to stay in that blissfulness for longer time periods when that happens. Now, since our minds are adequately calmed down, we'll focus on the Buddha Anusati and make it more calmer. If this initial exercise is just enough for you to start the Vipassana and to focus on Nibbana and the essenceless nature of this world, that also would be enough. But since this is a session, we would just cover all the aspects. So you can recite it with me, or you can just focus on the qualities of Buddha. Buddha is a quality. It's not just a person. It's the quality that creates the person. Arahant is a quality. Focus on the Arahant quality when we are reciting. Samma Sambuddha is also a quality. And these 9 qualities should be contemplated on. So that we can understand the true meaning according to our level of wisdom. You can recite with me, or you can focus on the sound. Contemplate on the meaning. Namo Arahang. 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 Namo Samma Sambuddho. 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 Namo Vicchacharana Sampanno. 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 Namo Sugato. 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 Namo Lokavidu. 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 Namo Anuttaro Purisa Dhammasarati. 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 Namo Sattha Deva Manussanang. 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 Namo Sattva Deva Manusanang. Namo Buddho. 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 Namo Bhagavan. 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 Let's focus on all the sentient beings in front of us. Let's focus on all the sentient beings on the either side of the front. Let's focus on all the sentient beings on the right side. Let's focus on all the sentient beings on the either side of the right. Let's focus on all the sentient beings behind. Let's focus on all the sentient beings on the either side of the back. Let's focus on all the sentient beings on the left. Let's focus on all the sentient beings on the either side of the left. Let's focus on all the sentient beings below. Let's focus on all the sentient beings above. Let's focus on all the sentient beings, including myself. Let all the sentient beings, including myself, may get freed from the samsaric suffering, may get freed from the disease of samsara, may get freed from the fear of samsara, may get freed from the flames of samsara, may get freed from the burning samsara, may get freed from the sorrowful samsara, may get freed from the samsaric raga, may get freed from the bonds of samsara, may get freed from the ocean of samsara, may get freed from the desert of samsara, may get freed from the darkness of samsara. All the sentient beings, including myself, may attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. All the sentient beings, including myself, may attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. All the sentient beings, including myself, may attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Let's focus on all the sentient beings in front. Let's focus on all the sentient beings on the either side of the front. Let's focus on all the sentient beings on the right. Let's focus on all the sentient beings on the either side of the right. Let's focus on all the sentient beings behind. Let's focus on all the sentient beings on the either side of the back. Let's focus on all the sentient beings on the left. Let's focus on all the sentient beings on the either side of the left. Let's focus on all the sentient beings below. Let's focus on all the sentient beings above. Let's focus on all the sentient beings, including myself. All the sentient beings, including myself, may get freed from the sansaric suffering, may get freed from the disease of sansara, may get freed from the fear of sansara, may get freed from the flames of sansara, may get freed from the burning sansara, may get freed from the sorrowful sansara, may get freed from the sansaric raga, may get freed from the bonds of sansara, may get freed from the ocean of sansara, may get freed from the desert of sansara, may get freed from the darkness of sansara. All the sentient beings, including myself, may attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. All the sentient beings, including myself, may attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. All the sentient beings, including myself, may attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Let's focus on all the sentient beings in front. Let's focus on all the sentient beings on the either side of the front. Let's focus on all the sentient beings on the right. Let's focus on all the sentient beings On the either side of the right, let's focus on all the sentient beings behind. Let's focus on all the sentient beings on the either side of the back. Let's focus on all the sentient beings on the left. Let's focus on all the sentient beings on the either side of the left. Let's focus on all the sentient beings below. Let's focus on all the sentient beings above. Let's focus on all the sentient beings, including myself, all the sentient beings, including myself, may get freed from the sansaric suffering, may get freed from the disease of sansara, may get freed from the fear of sansara, may get freed from the flames of sansara, may get freed from the burning sansara, may get freed from the sorrowful sansara, may get freed from the sansaric raga, may get freed from the bonds of sansara, may get freed from the ocean of sansara, may get freed from the desert of sansara, may get freed from the darkness of sansara. All the sentient beings, including myself, may attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. All the sentient beings, including myself, may attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. All the sentient beings, including myself, may attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Eyes are an ocean that cannot be filled with images. Ears are an ocean that cannot be filled with sounds. Nose is an ocean that cannot be filled with smells. Tongue is an ocean that cannot be filled with tastes. Body is an ocean that cannot be filled with touch. Mind is an ocean that cannot be filled with thoughts. World is an ocean that cannot be filled with gratification. Eyes are an ocean that cannot be filled with images. Ears are an ocean that cannot be filled with sounds. Nose is an ocean that cannot be filled with smells. Tongue is an ocean that cannot be filled with taste. Body is an ocean that cannot be filled with touch. Mind is an ocean that cannot be filled with thoughts. World is an ocean that cannot be filled with gratification. Eyes are an ocean that cannot be filled with images. Ears are an ocean that cannot be filled with sounds. Nose is an ocean that cannot be filled with smells. Tongue is an ocean that cannot be filled with taste. Body is an ocean that cannot be filled with touch. Mind is an ocean that cannot be filled with thoughts. World is an ocean that cannot be filled with gratification. Eyes are an ocean that cannot be filled with images. Ears are an ocean that cannot be filled with sounds. Nose is an ocean that cannot be filled with smells. Tongue is an ocean that cannot be filled with taste. Body is an ocean that cannot be filled with touch. Mind is an ocean that cannot be filled with thoughts. World is an ocean that cannot be filled with gratification. Apo dhatu is essenceless. Tejo dhatu is essenceless. Vayu dhatu is essenceless. Patavi dhatu is essenceless. Letting go is blissful. Non-attachment is blissful. Salvation is blissful. Nibbana is blissful. May Nibbana be attained. May Nibbana be attained. May Nibbana be attained. Apo dhatu is essenceless. Tejo dhatu is essenceless. Vayu dhatu is essenceless. Patavi dhatu is essenceless. Letting go is blissful. Non-attachment is blissful. Salvation is peaceful. Nibbana is blissful. May Nibbana be attained. May Nibbana be attained. May Nibbana be attained. Apo Dhatu is essenceless. Tejo Dhatu is essenceless. Vayu Dhatu is essenceless. Patavi Dhatu is essenceless. Letting go is blissful. Non-attachment is blissful. Salvation is blissful. Nibbana is blissful. May Nibbana be attained. May Nibbana be attained. May Nibbana be attained. Apo Dhatu is essenceless. Tejo Dhatu is essenceless. Vayu Dhatu is essenceless. Patavi Dhatu is essenceless. Letting go is blissful. Non-attachment is blissful. Salvation is blissful. Nibbana is blissful. May Nibbana be attained. May Nibbana be attained. May Nibbana be attained. Apo Dhatu is senseless. Tejo Dhatu is senseless. Vayu Dhatu is senseless. Patavi Dhatu is senseless. Letting go is blissful. Non-attachment is blissful. Salvation is blissful. Nibbana is blissful. May Nibbana be attained. May Nibbana be attained. May Nibbana be attained. we are going back to the quality of air. Focus on the relaxed, light, calm nature, which is us right now. Focus on the blissfulness, which is due to reduction of suffering, which is due to reduction of effort, which is due to reduction of controlling. Now, to end today's session, relax your body, focus on your body, and slowly open your eyes, ending the meditation for today. And if you have any questions regarding today's Kammatthana or today's meditation, or if you have any questions regarding the practical aspect of meditation, or any questions regarding Dhamma, it's time for you to ask any questions if you have any. I saw a question. Teruvan Saranai, two questions arose. When the body becomes finer and more distant during meditation, is it because I am in the state of Vayu Kasina? If Apo, Vayu, Patavi, Vayu originates from mind, why does it revert to its nature after death? The thing is, everything, I'm answering the second question first, and then we'll go to the first one. So the thing is, everything is generated through our mental energy or mental um, actions, whether it's our body, whether it's our mind, or whether it's the earth, buildings, basically the building blocks of matter that is used to create buildings, and the trees, and the waterfalls, mountains, solar system, universe, all of that was created. They, that was created by the mental power that is generated by sentient beings with avijja, with the hope of associating with them again and again. So the mental pictures were the blueprint that was created by us. For example, if we say now through Supreme Buddha's time, if you have read about this Isigili Sutta, In the Isigiri Sutta, it says there's mentioning about the Vebara Parvata, Isigiri Parvata, then there's this Gijakuta Pabbata. Uh, there are two more. Pabbata means mountains, or we can say rock mountains. So this, in his explanation, he says about 500 Pacheka Buddhas. You know, Pacheka Buddhas, when it is about 500 of them, they are spanned in various eons, various time periods, and in between these time periods, there were many ends of worlds, ends of universes. So it was generated again, and the story goes on, and at the end of that eon, the world is destroyed again and was created by action of sentient beings or mental action of them, and again got destroyed, and this happens over and over again, and this is a cycle. And in this cycle, since it got destroyed and created again, with what was created was by our mental pictures. So what was originally there before was created again because we wanted the same thing. For example, let's say we saw a beautiful waterfall today and we got attached to it. I would love to be there with this water. I would love to stay nearer to this waterfall. I would love to bathe in this waterfall. I would love to see the scenery. I would love to be a part of this nature. Those were the actions or mental thoughts, mental powers that are created by our avijja based mind. So when the world got destroyed, the beings does not get destroyed, their bodies get, but their consciousness does not get destroyed. That chain of consciousness continues to stay in Abhasara Brahma's plane or higher. And after some time, when the lifespan of Abhasara Brahma plane ends, they falls down to the first dhyana plane, and from the first dhyana plane, they falls down to the, or they become the Brahma Kalpita Manusa, or we can say Brahma based human. So when somebody becomes a Brahma based human, those individuals are half Brahma, half human. So they have the qualities of Brahma. They can go, their bodies are made of light. They are very light in nature. They don't have a weight. They emit light, but they have a little bit of thinking like a human. So they start to remember these places, these waterfalls that they loved, these various mountains, various beautiful places of nature. And when they start to remind, or when they start to recall these sights, scenes, various things that they did with those in those environments, they start to feel lonely. They want to associate with those things. That's exactly what happens. These are getting created by the actions of millions, billions, trillions, quadrillions of sentient beings. They emit Suddhastaka or Nam Rupa created, and Bahira Nam Rupa or external Nam Rupa are generated in a way, in a period of millions and billions and trillions of years. I cannot say a number like that. It's very wrong. very big number. Through a time period of that much, it is recreated in the same way. So that's why we get the same Vebara Parvata, the same Isigili Pabbada again and again. So that's why, so all the things that this we can touch, we can see around us were created in that way. So that's why, even though meditation is one thing, so what we do when we do Vayo Kasina is what we are doing is, now I'll answer the first question as well here. So the Vayo Kasina is very far from what we experience right now. This is called Upachara. Upachara would, what I think, like I'm not quite sure because I cannot see everybody's mind. But what somebody experiences first is the Upachara. It's very near to the dhyana, but it's something like something like the doorstep. After you open the door and get inside, then it's the dhyana. So this is the doorstep of dhyana. Somebody's mindset becomes calmer, quieter, lighter, feels like air. The body feels like air. And when that is when that is practiced more and more, and that is used over and over again, then one would be able to open the door and get inside, and then the experience would be different. So gradually it would go to the second, third, and fourth dhyana, and the experiences be different from one to the other. So when somebody is practicing this Vayokasina, what they are doing is they are stopping the karma avachara actions, karma loka actions, world of karma. That means the six realms of deities and the human realm, and of course the four hells. This belongs to the worlds of karma. So we are using our minds, we are practicing our minds in a way that we are getting far away from these karma thoughts and focusing them back on rupa thoughts. Now, vayo kasina is a rupa avachara, rupa plane, rupa bhava, kama bhava, rupa bhava, arupa bhava. So this belongs to the rupa bhava. So when we focus on the rupa, that would again, just like the original way that everything was created, that would again generate an energy. And that energy would not act right now, but that energy would get deposited in the karma bhava and would someday would create a body which is made of light, which is very light, which is very relaxed, which is made of light, based on which dhyana thala we have attained. But if somebody is attached to this uh, vayo in a karma way, that individual would become a god, a vayo god of vayo. So depending on what action, what attachment, what avijja we have, what level of avijja we have, it decides where we go, where this sansaric journey would deviate to. So that is how the vayo hasina works. So for this body, everything would happen as normal, because this body would get deteriorated, get decayed, and at the end and death it would get rotten, and everything would get separated to apo, tejo to tejo, vayu to vayu, and patavi to patavi. That's the nature for everybody, even for Arihats, even for Supreme Buddha. That's the nature. That's the worldly nature. So that would not change, but in fact, it would create an energy. And that energy would work the future, creating something new. That energy cannot change the mechanism. What it does is it creates things. So that is what exactly happens with this mechanism. So I hope is that clear for you? Yeah, I can share it. Written version of today's Kammatthana. I have it right now, so I'll share it here. Sorry about that. Yes, I pasted it on the chat. And there's one more thing. So the following question was sent to WhatsApp as generally known. This is known as Vayu Dhatu. Could we please get an answer? Assasasa, Passasasa, Assasa, Passasa are two different things. So I think I have discussed this before. So Assasasa, these are actually analogies. So in Buddhism, most of the things are said in analogies because it's very easy to understand like that. So what we do in Assasa, Passasa, what if you think in a very shallow or very basic manner, what are we doing? We are trying to eliminate raga, dosa, and moha. That is not something in the physical world. That is to do with the mind or mental actions. So let's say our mind is impurified with raga, dosa, moha. Now, what we have to do is we have to clean it. We have to clean our mind. So if we want to clean our mind, we have to use something, some way. Let's say it's if it is about a cloth, if it is about something in the physical world, we have to use some detergent, we have to use soap or um, some kind of a material or something, some chemical that is used to remove stains or remove dirt or something. So just like that, when it comes to the mind, we have to use a detergent that is called Dhamma. Dhamma is the detergent that is used to remove the stains which are raga, dosa, moha. So when we are going to do that, it is very hard to understand because we are used to understand things using our five senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. But this is something very untangible, very distant from us. So to explain something like that, it is very easy if we use a physical example, analogy. It bridges the gap that that we have with the understanding to get to the understanding. So that is why asasa pasasa is used. In asasa pasasa, asasa is inhalation, pasasa is exhalation. In inhalation, we take oxygen in. In exhalation, we exhale carbon dioxide out. So through this process, what we do is we purify our body. If we don't do it, poisonous gases would get collected in our body, and that would end our life eventually. So to end this, so to continue our life, continue living, what the body's mechanism of that is respiration. So just like that, just like oxygen is inhaled, we are inhaling vitaragi, vitadosi, vitamohi qualities to our mind, not to the body. This is asasasa. And we exhale raga, dosa, moha. Just like carbon dioxide is exhaled in the respiration. So that is called pasasasa. So we can very well understand, if we do asasasa and pasasasa, that would eventually get to vitaragi, vitadosi, vitamohi nature, which is the arihat nature. But however much we respirate and focus on the respiration, that would get us to calm rupavachara states, brahma planes, but the raga, dosa, moha would not get eliminated. So the sansaric journey would continue. So this is what we need to understand. We need to understand the Arya meanings of everything, not the mundane meanings. Because after some time, the Arya meanings get hidden and the resurfacing of the mundane meanings happens. When the mundane meanings are resurfaced, or mundane meanings are uh, coming back, replacing them as Lokottara meanings, the problem is nobody would be able to say the Lokottara once again unless Supreme Buddha is born again or is emanated again. So that is the problem. So this is Asasasa and Pasasasa in a very short. Is that clear? I hope that's clear. Okay. So if we don't have any other questions, then we can today's session with the Punyanumodana. Okay, so we'll go on with the Punyanumodana. Okay, there's one more question. I'm quite not. I'm not sure about the word bit in between the inverted commas. Upon. I have to search about this word upon because I have not heard about that word before. Aparna samadhi. Are you referring to a samadhi state? Shanika samadhi, arpana samadhi. Is it arpana? Apunya. Apunya. I think you are saying yeah, punya and apunya. Yeah, apunya means apunya means akusala. It's the same thing. Punya is kusala as well as punya. Punya means a kriya. It is a kriya or it's an action. Kusala is getting rid of akusala. So these are two different things. See, akusala and these are the two words, kusala and akusala. And the next set is punya and apunya. So kusala and punya goes together. Akusala and apunya goes together. The difference between punya and kusala is actually the refraining from the akusala deeds. So what is punya? What is kusala? Refraining from killing and hurting is a kusala. Refraining from stealing is a kusala. Refraining from having unethical relationships is a kusala. Refraining from lying is a kusala. Slandering is a kusala. Using harsh words or refraining from using harsh words is also a kusala. Then refraining from frivolous talk is also kusala. Refraining from greediness, mischievousness is kusala. Refraining from maliciousness is kusala. Refraining from michaditti or wrong and distorted views is also kusala. What is akusala? Doing those things are kusala. Then what is punya? So we have the 10 punya kriya. What are those 10 punya kriya? Dana is a punya kriya. Sila is a punya kriya. Then there's bhavana or meditation. Or dana means the alms giving. Sila is the virtuousness. Bhavana is the meditation. Then the punyanumodana. Pratyadana. Pratya means the Pratya Dhyana, we have to discuss it in a separate day. So, Pattanumodana. Then the Dhamma Savana means the listening to Dhamma, preaching of Dhamma. Then there's this paying respect to the noble ones, noble qualities. Then there's one or two more. So these are Punya Kriya. So when somebody is doing Kusala, they are doing the Punya Kriya as well, because when somebody is giving alms, when somebody is virtuous, they are automatically refraining from killing, hurting, lying, and all the other things. So Punya and Kusala goes together. And when it comes to the Akusala and Apunya, it's the same thing. Basically, it's the same thing. When somebody is killing, hurting, lying, slandering, doing all those 10 immoral things, that is exactly an action. So punya and apunya are about actions. So refraining from something is not an action. But when we do a punya kriya, refraining has already happened when we are doing it. So it becomes punya as well as kusala. Doing the bad deed is itself is a action. So it becomes apunya as well as akusala. So that is how we should differentiate the two. And the thing is, punya apunya decides the state of living or state of how well we will, or how well or how bad we will do in a certain life. Akusala and kusala would decide where we would be born, where we would be born. So for example, let's say somebody do very virtuous things. He gives alms to to monks and to poor people, and do very good, and he's a very generous person, and in the back, or this is the face that he shows to the external world, that he's a very generous person, he's a very good person, he helps everybody, and he's a nice, caring, loving person. for everybody. But in the back, what he does is he's a person who is a uh, is a dealer of drugs, or drug dealer, or somebody like a person who is very um, uh, what do you say, he has a very bad or for as a hobby he hunts or do various unethical immoral things in the back of in the back, and what he shows to the front is something different, and what he practices in the back is something different. So he does the good things as well. Let's say he practices the dog sankara. So when dog sankara are practiced, that is dog avijja creating, finally creating dog jati. So that is the akusala, or akusala would decide, that means akusala mula, which is loba dosa moha, would decide the next birth. So he becomes a dog in the next birth, because that is what the clinging, where the clinging was. Clinging was to the bad things. He was doing the good things in the side to show a different picture to the world. But his likeness, his attachment, his clinging or upadana was to the akusala things. Akusala things was done on the side. So we cannot trick the system. So what happens is that person would become a dog. But the difference between a normal dog and this dog lives a very luxurious life, not like the other ones who are on the road just like stray dogs, not enough food, not enough health care, just there, um, get soaked in the rain, burnt in the sun. That is the normal dog's life. But this dog, since that that person gave much to the external world, just like giving alms, giving, helping the poor, and doing these things, has created the punya shakti, punya energy, which would make that specific individual's life better wherever he is born. So if he becomes a dog, then he will become a posh dog, or a very a dog who is living a very luxurious life, but still a dog. But if that person did that same thing, those alms were given, helping the poor was also done, and all the good things were done, but not having a uh, other or a different life in the others in the side was also not there, and this was his original life. He was genuinely doing that because he likes it. His clinging is to giving. His clinging or attachment is to helping people. That's a Deva Sankara. That person would straight away go to the Deva, or the this heavenly realms, and becomes a god. And this godly individual would again get benefited because he has given so much to the external. So the punya kriya would decide how well, or how luxurious the life would be wherever we are born, and the birthplace would be decided by kusala and akusala, or again upadana. So this is what we need to understand. Is this clear? I hope it's clear. So then we'll move on to the Punyanamodana. So today we have discussed a very important Kammatana, and in the end, we um, practiced the meditation and also answered some of the questions that might be very useful for everyone. So the actions that we have, or the sankara, punya sankara, and the kusala mula sankara that we have done was immeasurable, or the meritorious power that is generated through these actions are immeasurable, and through that immeasurable meritorious power, may everyone get the perfect background to complete the Arya Dhamma, to complete the Arya pathway. If anybody is having any hindrances, Pancha Nivarana, or any other problems when completing the Arya pathway, may all of those problems get diminished, creating the perfect pathway, easy pathway to Nibbana. And in that pathway, everybody would be able to, everybody may practice the Arya Dhamma with ease, with life, comfort, refreshness, power, and wisdom, and in the end, attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana, ending this suffering samsaric journey. Accept this blessing with the sadhukara.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So we are going to transfer this meritorious power that we have generated to all the sentient beings in the universe, including especially our deceased relations throughout this samsaric journey, and also the ones who helped us throughout this samsaric journey, parents, teachers, the ones who have given us jobs, ones who have constructed and created our houses, homes, the surrounding infrastructure, and the ones who helped us to have these Dhamma discussions and meditations, the ones who are maintaining the infrastructure and the internet connections and the devices and everything. So the ones also, and also the ones who were hurted and harmed by us throughout the suffering samsaric journey without knowing the right and wrong, we acted on our emotions and hurted and harmed many in the suffering samsaric journey because we did not know what is right and what is wrong. So let us acknowledge our faults and determine, or let's promise ourselves that we are not going to do wrong again to any individual, and let's transfer this meritorious power to them as well as a very great compensation to everybody. So everybody everybody is free from sansaric bonds, free from any debts that we have towards every towards the sentient beings, and also the deities, and also the Brahma gods, and all the sentient beings in the universe. Let's transfer this meritorious power to all of them, regardless of wherever they are in this universe. May they receive this meritorious power. If they are in miserable places, may they refrain from those places. May they replace, or if they are doing any sinful deeds, negative deeds, may they refrain from doing those deeds. May they replace those negative deeds with meritorious actions, and may they lead happy lives with life, comfort, power, refreshness, and wisdom, ending this suffering sansara, understanding the reality, the anicca dukkha anatta nature, and being um, able to end this suffering sansara with uh, by completing the Arya pathway. Accept this with a sadhukara, transferring this meritorious power to all the sentient beings in the universe and all the ones who have already mentioned.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So we should end this meditation session for today, and I'll be reciting this Pali stanza, blessing everybody, power, refreshness, uh, life, and comfort, and in the end, wisdom, ending this suffering samsara. Abhivadana Siddhis Nichang Vaddha Pachayano Chattaro Dhamma Vaddanti Ayuvanno Sukham Balang Ayurarogya Sampatti Sagga Sampatti Mevacha Ato Nibbana Sampatti Iminate Samichyatu. May you learn the supreme bliss of Nibbana.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Terawan Saranai Swamin Wahansa, we appreciate your support and guidance to develop our path. We would like to recite a verse to show our appreciation and gratitude to you. If anyone knows the verse, please recite with me. Otherwise, please listen. Silavantang gunavantang punyakettang anuttarak durlabhene maya lattang pasitung vanditung varang Sariputtaditeranang agatam patipatiya saddha siladaya vasang buddha puttan namamahang. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So, Deva, may everyone attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Terawan Saranai, everyone.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Terawan Saranai. Sadhu,
Terawan
sadhu.
Saranai.
Thank you very much, everyone. We will meet again next month. Thank you. Teruvan Saranai.
Terawan Saranai.
Terawan Saranai.
Sadhu.